Joining us on the show, Coach. How are you, buddy? How excited are you about the season?
I'm more excited about being here today.
I remember when I was with the radio station, we had you on when you first got brought in, and the excitement that you had to work with the Rowdies, and Robbie, to be able to see some of the veterans. I had Forrest in here before. I mean, when you have that leadership core in place, how much easier does that make your job?
Oh, it makes it so much easier, to be honest with you. I mean, like they set the values for the club
right
here for a number of years, and the way the dressing room works and the interaction they have with the staff and the players and the fan base. It's here, we get good people here, and it's just continuing that and try to help them develop as people.
What about yourself now with year two? What did you learn about yourself last year with the club that can help you this season and beyond?
I think it's been more comfortable in the environment. I think when you come in to any new club, no matter where it is, but especially when you're coming into a new continent,
right,
and also the vastness of the country, where you can play 1 week, you can play up in Hartford, where it's -5, and then next 2 weeks later, in Phoenix, where it's 107 degrees.
Yeah.
So it's understanding that, and understanding what it takes week in, week out for the club to perform. So I feel a lot more comfortable coming into the season now than I did last year, that for sure.
Did anything about the style of the game affect you? I'm a big, I watch all over the world. I'm, big United supporter from over the years, and seeing Ruben Amorim go from playing, coaching in Portugal and now in England, just not realizing the physicality in the game and how much it changes. Was there anything about the game, whether the speed, the physicality, the travel, was there anything that was a big change?
Lots and lots, to be honest with you. That's why that probably the first year's probably a kind of learning curve a wee bit. Even, we have obviously Eastern Conference, Western Conference, and I found, for me, the Eastern Conference is probably a little bit more European the way they play.
Okay.
Whereas the Western Conference is probably a little bit more South American.
Really?
It's
okay.
A bit more possession based. When you look at the teams in the Eastern Conference, it's very, they're quite, I wouldn't say direct, but it's about getting the ball forward, getting it wide, getting in the box. Was a lot of the Western Conference is about possession based game.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a lot to do with the heat and the humidity.
Oh yeah,
can be like that, but also the game's quite an athletic game. It's quite transitional, especially on the East Coast. It's about getting into areas. So we've got different sides of the country. We've also got, you go to Colorado and I think you're like 6,000 feet up, which is a bit different from our line, where I think we're 6 feet up. So you have all these different things that you kind of learn along the way.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about that. I like how you put that with the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. Do you think your team, the way that it's built, it suits that style of play in the East, with the more direct game? And obviously getting a guy like Forrest back, who, he's a guy in either box, he's a factor up there for those aerial duels.
I think we have to be almost a hybrid, because we're play in a very humid climate.
True.
It's very hot, so it's very difficult to turn over possession a lot, because when you turn over possession a lot, it becomes, end to end, and you can't really do that at our line, especially through the summer. So we have to be quite adaptable, and when we go away to venues that maybe up north, we have to play a little more of a direct style to suit that the way of playing, and try and implement that. But we also, at our line, we kind of change it a little bit the way we play. So, it's very different here in that, when you're back in the UK, if it's wet in the south, it's wet in the north.
Right.
10 degrees in the south, it's probably 8 degrees in the north. Whereas here, there's a big change.
Who was your team you supported growing up?
I was never really supported a real team. I grew up kind of in Glasgow, so in Glasgow you have one side or the other. I won't say what side I am, because the other half, but my dad supported St Mirren, so they were the first team that I went to go and see. And then as I went into football, you kind of, I mean personally, you kind of lose that, because you have the team that you play for. And I played with Hearts for 12 years and then moved about a wee bit and then back to manager. So probably if you're looking at, I would say probably Hearts, but it's only because I was there for such a long time and I get a great relationship there. Yeah,
it's a great, passion. That's the word that comes across when I'm looking at, soccer, football, in that part of the world. And I just look at that with this team too. Putting your imprint on this team. You have a lot of guys that they play for the badge, and look no further than the guy that's been the captain for the last couple of seasons, in Aaron Guillen. And knowing Aaron and meeting him over these years off the pitch, he's like the calmest guy. And then he goes out there and he's getting right into these guys' faces. Like he is just insane with how like he's just as passionate as they come, man, and he is invested and he's available, right? He out there on the pitch. Like, what does he do for your club being the leader, being that guy wearing that captain's armband?
I think it goes back to kind of Forrest as a saying, but Lewis Hilton, they bring continuity to the club and that they understand what it's like to play here. You would understand the fan bases here, the communities here as well. And also the standards that have been here over the years. They've predominantly been a team that's been in the upper echelons of the league and challenged for titles and won at least in conferences. So there's a standard that has to get set at every game. We can't go to away games and just go there for a point. We're going there to win games.
Right.
So I think they drive that, and they drive that within the training as well, and obviously around about the place. So, you find, especially nowadays, a lot of teams will change a lot of their squad every year, and maybe they'll keep like 3-4 players, but I feel that you have to keep the core there, the core senior players that know what it's like to play at the club, what's expected in the standards, and then it allows you to bring other guys or younger ones in. They have to match that.
Was that a draw for you to come here for the Rowdies because of their reputation? Because I was outside of Old Trafford once, and I was on one of those videos of name 4 clubs that start with L and name 3, and I mentioned Al Lang and the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and the kid knew who the Tampa Bay Rowdies was. And I'm like, I'm in Manchester, England. They know who the Tampa Bay Rowdies. I mean, and then I spoke to Jordan Farr last year, and he goes, yeah, me playing goalkeeper for the Rowdies meant a lot. Like that comes with you're not just some guy. You're not just like, you earn it. Like you are one of those people that are part of this organization, part of this team. Was that a draw for you coming over here?
There's obviously you get the MLS teams now, so people are starting to get to know them. But probably when I was growing up, anyway, you had obviously you knew the Cosmos
with Pele, right?
You knew the Rowdies, and you knew the Fort Lauderdale Strikers.
Right.
That was probably only the 3 teams that you'd really heard of. You know what I mean? So obviously when Nico and Ryan spoke to me, I knew the club already. My parents knew it, my father-in-law knew it pretty well as well. Also, we knew guys that had played here before. So there is that history here, and I think obviously it's one of the bigger brands in soccer within American soccer. So I think guys play for it. They want to come and play with the Rowdies because they know it's a big name, it's a big brand, and also, you're expected to win things, which all players want to do.
Yeah, I was watching the United against Fulham the other day, and they mentioned Rodney Marsh, and I was like, oh my God, Rodney Marsh! You got the Rowdies link there. How important is it to win that 3rd championship, to get that 3rd star above the crest? I know, I was there. I was heartbroken a couple of seasons ago when they lost to Orange County in the final. Do you talk about things like that? Because I know, you don't want to get too far ahead of it. Obviously, you haven't even played a regular season game yet. But how much of that is in the conversation of like winning a championship and winning the USL? Because, this is a very storied franchise.
Yeah, look, we set the objectives the other day. We spoke to the players and the staff, and the objectives was to win the championship. To do that, we want to win the Eastern Conference. Then we split the season into like 10 games because the games have come down from 34 to 30, so we split it into 10, and we have a points objective for those 10 games. We have goals scored in those 10 goals against as well. So we try and break it down, and then we take it down to like 1 game at a time. So you have the bigger objective, then the kind of smaller one, and then the weekly one. That to get the big one, you obviously have to do that week in, week out. So I think for us, we want to win the championship, we want to win the Eastern Conference, we're in the Jägermeister, we want to win that. We'd like to try and progress and potentially win the Open Cup, depending on what happens with.
How much does that change your? Because I remember a couple of years ago, it was before the U.S. Open Cup came back. Now there's another cup competition. I mean, how does that change how you is the squad going to change a lot for that? Going from is there a priority set with the USL Championship games? I don't know how
I think
is it a little different?
We're in a group stage within the Jägermeister. So within that group stage, I think we have 4 games within it, so 5 teams. 1 team will progress. The second place team will be the highest finish within it. So we want to win that, but we also want to use it for some of the younger players, to try and get some game time. So there'll be games within that league that we're super strong, we're the strongest team. The other ones we were giving guys some game time to try and progress them. So there's a balance between that, but ultimately we want to progress into the knockout rounds and then go and try and win it. Because
for sure,
you want a trophy.
Listen, if you're playing, you want to win. Right?
Exactly.
You want to play and you want to win. Give me some new faces. I know we got Arteaga back, Castellanos is back. or Castellanos has returned. Manu comes back from last year. Give us some names that maybe people don't know and haven't heard of that could play could play big roles this year for you guys.
Yeah, I think we've got young Angel Starley who's out injured at the moment, but will be coming back in the next week or two. So we purposefully, just ran with 2 strikers this season with him as the third one to try and get him game time. He's just a young local kid. He got a bit of game time towards the end of the season and it did really, really well.
Yeah.
Had a lot of interest in him over the close season. So he'll be one that I think will get the game time, and I think he'll score goals for us as well at such a young age, which is great to see as a local kid. With that, so young Nate Worth did really well for us last season.
Yeah, that free kick, man.
Man. Technically very, very good. Again, he'll get game time and try and progress him. We just signed Matthias Jesus. That local guy again on a contract. He'll get more game time. So these younger ones are coming through, and I think, obviously we've got Bodley did really well last season for his Pacific. Did really well. So these 2 guys will develop again over the close season and become better and better because, another 35 games under their belt.
Yeah,
I expect to get better. So there's a number of players in there that I think will do extremely well.
What about Ali? I mean, this is a guy that I know people have reached out to me. So today, man, just a couple of shots top in, and you're like, whoa. He may give you a little bit of a different look than maybe what you even had last year.
Yeah,
Ali Bassett looks like a guy that can really impact games.
We pushed really hard to get him in, to be honest with you. So we obviously dropped the CPL and did really, really well. He was player of the year a couple of years ago, had another really good season, and we got the opportunity to bring him in as he came out his contract, and we pushed hard to do it because I think he'll bring. Firstly, he brings like great attitude and work ethic, which is a given when you bring guys in, you expect them to do it, but then he's got the quality on top of that, and you saw. He's got goals, he's got assists, and I think we kind of missed that a wee bit last year when you look at it. From all areas out with the 2 strikers. We had Cal and Manu, I think, scored like 19 and 20 each. After that, we had Damien and Rivera, who I think scored like 7, but it was always Damien was more like the last 10-15 minutes of the game. So we never really had starters that were really scoring goals for us. So we've tried to add that this year, bringing. Ollie in.
More guys in the middle of the pitch.
More guys that give us goals, but also in other guys as well. More of an emphasis on they need to produce some goals for us. Getting goals from wing back areas, getting goals from centre mid, getting goals from set plays.
Yeah, the set pieces are huge.
When we looked at the stats last year, Louisville had an amazing season, but I think it was like they had from out with the striking area had 44 goals. We had 11. So we need to get more goals from. We're not going to get to that level, but if we can get
close that gap a little
22,
bit. Yeah.
It's 22 could be the difference between getting another 10, 15, 18 points.
Is that the biggest difference between last year and this year? Like, what if you say we got to fix this from last year to this year to really, bump us up the table? What would it be?
Yeah, I think there's a number of things within that. I think from a defensive perspective, we spoke a lot about that with the team, a bit more stable in the transition is really important for us because the game is becoming at times end-to-end a wee bit, so we've been working on that, but set plays is going to be huge for us because we didn't score a lot from set plays last year. I think we can score a lot more. We've also got really good delivery now from Ollie, from Lewis, and from Cammy McPherson as well, so these guys can put on the money for us. We've got a bit of physicality in the team with 2 strikers, all 3 of the centre halves as well. Forrest, when he's in there, is like unreal in these situations as well. So I think we can, the defensive aspect, yes, become better on that, the set play aspect, and then just getting more guys in the box. It sounds basic, but it's
sometimes that's all it is, right? Sometimes it's not reinventing the wheel.
If you've got 1 guy in the box or 5 guys in the box, you get 5 times more chance of scoring. So it's getting them in there.
Isn't it crazy though how a guy like Forrest, obviously he looks like a guy that's going to win. But isn't it weird or just unique that there's certain guys that when they get in the box, the ball seems to find him, right?
I think it helps that he's a man mountain.
It helps. It helps when you're that big, but it's crazy, right? It's just like seems like some guys have magnets in there.
I think like one of the biggest things that I've found over the years is that you have to want to hit the ball.
Right.
You have to really, really want to get on the end of it. Whether it's a defensive aspect and an attacking aspect, you have to really want to get there. And Forrest is a guy who really wants to get there. With the size and the physicality of him, a lot of time, and the Forrest ball, the next going to the tuckle, when he gets out of the way and he wins the header. So having that desire to go do it for the team is something that Forrest brings.
You see some guys that get into the box there and they jump up and then they go half-heartedly like this, and they get pushed out. You don't see that from Forrest.
That's the difference between scored and not scored.
That's right.
Desire to go do it, and that's where I think that Forrest has that within his game, that he's very strong and has that desire to go succeed.
Before I let you go, what are you doing on your off time? I mean, obviously you're not going to have much when the games start, but what do you like to do, off the pitch? And
To be honest, we did play a wee bit of golf now and again.
Yeah, golf,
nice.
nice.
A bit of golf, yeah, and I'm doing my studies at the moment as well, which finishes up next month actually, so I'm doing that at the moment, and then once I've finished that studies, I'll go and start doing something else as well, just to fill the time. But to be honest, most of it's taken up with the next game, and then the next game, and then the next game, especially at the start of the season where, we're on the road for 4 and about.
I know. It's pretty wild to know that you have 4 in a row on the road, and before you get the first home game, which is April 12th, right there at AlLangRowdySoccer.com for all the information. You get your tickets. How cool is that too? Is that you game all the games on TV now? Tampa Bay 44. The only 2 that aren't are going to be on ESPN too.
Yeah, it's so good. It's just getting it's getting the league out there, because the league is fantastic.
It is.
And I think if there's talk about potential relegation and promotion going D1, if you can get that, within this league, it gives it a different selling point to the MLS, where it's just franchise clubs. And I think that that's one of the key things that when you look at it from a European perspective, when you watch the league and if it's a franchise league, they're like, where is the pressure of relegation and promotion? Because that
do you think it would work over here?
I think
because that's the thing, is like they don't, when I try to explain that to people, because a couple of years ago when I was on the radio, when the Super League thing came out and people were like, they couldn't understand, why would Manchester United and Arsenal and all these teams go with Barcelona and Bayern Munich and Real Madrid and all these teams? What they didn't understand how that would hurt the pyramid and how that would hurt promotion and delegation, because over here it's a franchise. You buy it, you're a pro, you go undefeated or winless, and you're still going to be there. But I said, man, when you see those teams battle, and out of a 20-team table, they finish in 17th place because they were able to score a goal in stoppage time on the last game, and they celebrate like they won the championship. There's nothing like that. And also, when the teams, and we saw it with Luton Town, where they had to renovate their entire stadium when they got promoted to the Premier League a couple of years ago. You think it would be a good thing over?
I think, like, for me,
it's a different vibe, right? It's a different feeling.
We could talk about it all day, but the system allows teams to come in and build their way up.
Right.
But one of the things you have, in my opinion, when you just have a set league and it's franchised, you'll have games mid to end of the season that have no real meaning at all, or relevance. So if you get 2 teams up in the bottom of the league, who cares who wins and who loses? Nobody cares. So there's no tension.
There's complacency.
Whereas, also if you're at the top of the league and you're playing against the bottom of the league, are they really going to be pushing to try and win?
Yeah.
There's no relegation. So having that brings with real intensity to the league. Intensity to every single game that you play in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it would definitely make it more watchable. That's for sure.
I love it. Coach Robbie Nielson here, Tampa Bay Rowdies again in action this weekend. Vegas, 10:30, Tampa Bay 44. You can check out every single game on TV this year. 30 of the 30, or 30 of the 34, or 32 of the 34, and that's including the Cup games, on Tampa Bay 44. The other 2 on ESPN too, so you're in good shape right there. Coach, appreciate it, man.
Good man.
Great to see you. And we'll see you at Al Lang on April
12th.
12th. Can't wait.
Hopefully you're all there.
Yeah, everybody go. We'll get your tickets at RowdySoccer.com. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
All right, we're going to